Thanks to the support as a channel member, Michael McCloskey. That's right, Mrs Wearmouth. It is sexy shirt week. Yeah, I don't think they're ready for it either. Hello and welcome to part 162 of Homegrown. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we have our first game in this season's Champions League away against Shakhtar, and we're also at home against Southampton in the Premier League. Since you're last with me, we've played a few more games. We've won a few more games. Sandra, that's his mum. Sandro Veloso has scored a few more goals. In fact, looking at this, we seem very much a two-man team. We very much rely on Veloso and Park for our goals. Juan Jose, the only one weighing in with a competitive goal for us this season so far. If Veloso gets injured, we have a problem. But this is what the Premier League table looks like. 5 wins from 5. Veloso, top scorer in the division, already on 10 goals. And in fact, in all competitions, he's currently on 14 goals from his first 6 matches. Yes, we rely on him. It's quite interesting to see there's some other players who are up there with a lot of goals as well. This guy at West Brom who's got 8 from 5. I mean, that just looks like a real purple patch in his career. I don't expect that to continue. And this guy, who is going to be a thorn in our side for years to come, I think, Sean Keegan, 7 goals in 9 England appearances already. I don't know how this one slipped through the net. He came through at Birmingham. He must have been on a scout report at some point. Or maybe he wasn't. If our scouts didn't pick up on this guy, bearing in mind we've been scouting the England under 21s and under 18s, all of those teams, for about 15 years at this point. I don't understand how he slipped through the net, but 30 goals in 34 games in the Premier League last year at 19, now 8 in 5 so far this year. I think we're potentially witnessing England's all-time greatest striker. He's only 20. And how did we miss him? I think this is where you all need to go back and look at episodes, transfer specials from a couple of years ago and see where Sean Keegan is on those scout reports. Was he there? Did I ignore him? Did he just not scout very well? I mean, I don't even really know. Let's compare him to Veloso. They're very similar. They're just both very quick, aren't they? Veloso's a little bit quicker, but Keegan's a little bit better in the air and a little bit more technical. It's an interesting one. Yeah, we can't sign him now, which is a shame. Let's go play Shakhtar. Oh, that's probably show you who's in the rest of our group, actually. Let's not just click. In fact, we can click on Shakhtar and make it to our group. So we've got a group with Bayer Leverkusen, Shakhtar and Lyon. Being top seeds means we've got a slightly easier group than we've had in previous years. Although, to be fair, Leverkusen and Lyon will both be thinking they've got a chance, but we've got to make it very clear that they don't have a chance. This is the home show. So we're going with Perez in goal, a back four of Primus, Erkan, Abagai and Vinicius Antonio. In fact, do we want him as a central defender? Perhaps we will. I'm trying to get away from 2 ball-playing defenders. I want all the ball playing to come from Abagai, and whoever plays alongside him to be a little bit more about just defending. So Erkan can do that role today. Kleber and McKenna in midfield as we go for the 2 big, strong boys in there. Ian and Figueira out wide because we have taken an injury to Park. After talking about relying on Park and Veloso, Park is going to be out for the next 3 weeks with a twisted ankle, so we get a proper look at Figueira for a little while. And then Juan Jose and Veloso up front. Let's all eyes on Figueira, I think, today. We want to see if our £55 million was well spent. The last time we spent that kind of money on a fancy foreigner, it was Jordi. Although, to be fair, it was also Juan Jose. We got them both at the same time. They were both 50 million plus. Jordi didn't really work out. Obviously, Juan Jose has gone on to become a really key member of the squad. So which way is Figueira going to go? There's a lot of pressure on him with the amount of money that's been spent. But then I guess our last real big money signing before him was Primus, who came in last year at left back for, what, £70 million, 70 million pounds, and has been fantastic. So hopefully we have more hits than misses when it comes to our big money signings now, although Figueira could ruin that if he ends up being a miss, because I guess real big money signings, we've got Primus, Jordi, Juan Jose, Figueira, Abagai. and Figueira's just scored on his first start, his first ever goal for the club. It's a lovely finish as well. It's not as if it's a simple tap-in. This has come to him about waist height. He's had to dislocate his hip to get this into the back of the net. Ian playing it back to Primus. There's the cross from Primus. I mean, it's not the hardest goal he'll score in his career, but it wasn't completely straightforward. It's a good finish. It was the sort of thing Park could have done in that situation. And now the corner comes in from Juan Jose. Kleber's trying to get onto the end of it, gives it in again, and Ian's got all the time in the world to pick his spot, and Ian is not missing from there. I don't know how you leave Ian completely unmarked. They had everybody loaded into the front half of that penalty area, and when this second ball comes in, they've got nobody looking after Ian. It's a clever run from Ian, who's kind of cut across from the centre. You can't see it on that angle, but he was the one who was lurking outside the area, and he spotted that space and gone and filled it and just made it very easy for himself to grab his first goal of the season. And now Kleber playing it forward to Figueira, who plays it out to Ian. The two wide men looking very, very dangerous so far. Primus is there backing up with Ian again and charging forward. This is what we didn't get with Kovacic. I actually think Primus is an upgrade at left back over Kovacic, and he plays the crossover to Veloso, and Veloso misses. The most exciting thing about the way this match has started, of course, having just looked at that schedule of the season so far, is that we now have 3 goals from 3 players that aren't Sandro Veloso or Park. Kleber now, with his first goal of the season, always going to be a threat from this kind of situation because there's so much of him. Juan Jose with the cross, Kleber with the header that's so hard, even though it's straight at the goalkeeper, all he can do is let it squirm through his fingers into the back of the net, and we go 3-0 up. And this is already looking like it's not going to be a very nice day for Shakhtar. We've come to their place and we are just bullying them. And the fact that neither Veloso or McKenna have turned up so far shows just how well the rest of the team are playing, because they're usually 2 very key players. Vinicius Antonio's picked up a knock. In the circumstances, I think we just take him off at half-time. There's no need to risk anybody in a game like this. Figueira plays it out to Vinicius Antonio for what's likely to be his final contribution to the game. Cross comes in, ball bobbles around inside the 6-yard box. There's nobody there to stick it into the back of the net, but once again, Shakhtar looking like they haven't yet discovered defending, or at least not figured out a way to apply it to their tactics. Let's jump onto the tactics screen. We've got Mark Kelly sat down there on the bench, which I think is a Champions League debut for Mark Kelly. I think he's played in the league for us before. He's played 1 league game for us, but I don't think he's ever played in Europe before. In fact, he played a league game this year as well. Came off the substitutes bench. So a couple of league appearances for us, but this is a Champions League debut for another one of our wonder kids, our 3rd Scottish wonder kid, Mark Kelly, coming on at right back, who has been promoted back into the first team squad this year after the departure of Todd Thomas. And we get to have another little look at him. Right, ball forward from Shakhtar. Primus is there to head forward. We've got quite a few British players on the pitch at the moment. So Kelly, Abagai, Primus, McKenna. 4 British. When was the last time we had 4 British players on the pitch at the same time? It's been a while. The team is slowly but surely becoming more British again. After, I mean, I guess it's because we can now afford to throw money at the expensive British players. 2 of those, Abagai and Primus, cost the best part of 150 million for the pair. So I guess it is a case of British players are really expensive. Certainly English ones. The Scottish players we were able to get a little bit cheaper, but even Mark Kelly was about £15 million as an untried 17-year-old. I don't think McKenna was that far away either. So you just have to pay that British tax for the British wonder kids. But we're starting to get a few through, which is nice to see. Ian now cutting inside from the left, skips past his man with ease. He's got Primus supporting him if he needs him, but I think Ian's going to go all the way on his own here. Runs into trouble, does then find Primus, and now Kleber playing it back through to Ian. And it's those 3 on that left-hand side have been combining beautifully today. Primus, Kleber and Ian is going to be a problem for any right back, because all 3 of them want to be playing on the left wing. Veloso now to McKenna, who plays it into the area again, looking for Ian, who's basically playing as a centre forward today. He's constantly in the middle, and I guess he's just noticed Veloso's not really having a good game, so let's play centre forward myself. Mark Kelly now deciding to just have a shot from range, because why not? We get ourselves another corner. It's going to be Juan Jose to take again. And once again, he's going to be aiming for the big boys at the near post. It was McKenna who got onto the end of that one, but couldn't get a proper connection. And now McKenna playing it across to Kleber, and it's all the way back to Abagai, and the move ends. I think we're probably going to take off McKenna and Veloso any time now. In fact, now feels like a good time. Who have we got to come on? We're going to bring Francisco on for Veloso. I'm looking at Camacho thinking we could have brought Camacho on. We're not going to. And then for McKenna, we're going to bring on Perez. It's not the day for trying out youngsters. It's the day for just seeing out the match. Let's be professional in the Champions League. We can try out the youngsters in the Premier League. Kelly, that's some nice football from Kelly. Goes round one man, goes round another man. It's a lovely cross, but I mean, it's just a little bit too high for everybody. But the idea was a good one, and Figueroa's in. I think that one's offside, as he finds the back of the net for the second time today, but this one's not going to count. But he certainly looks like a threat, although he is being outshone today by Ian, who is just everywhere. And Kleber's having a very, very good game as well. And as usual, Juan Jose is just there pulling all the strings, linking everything together, getting abuse from the small section of the fans who don't recognise what he's contributing because he's not scoring 30 goals a season. Perez with the free kick, and that is 4. It's a lovely goal from Diego Perez. Jovanovic looks on from the bench. In fact, is Jovanovic even on the bench? No. Jovanovic falling so far down the pecking order. That was Jovanovic's speciality, but Jovanovic has been ruined by the emergence of Juan Jose as a real top tier number 10. I really can't emphasise enough how important I think Juan Jose is to this team. Erkan across to Abagai, and now Primus forward to Ian and Kleber, and James Francisco is in. Probably James, isn't it? We've talked about that before, but if your guy who is he still at Everton? Has he left Everton? If he's James, then they're both Brazilian, aren't they? Is he Brazilian? Are either of them Brazilian? I think Francisco's Brazilian. I'm now questioning Rodriguez. Regardless, I'm just going to call him James. He's Jim Francisco. That's what he answers to me. Perez to Primus. Come on, let's have number 5. Primus has been very, very good today as well. A constant threat on this left-hand side. And there is Big Jim with his first goal of the season. 5-0 to home now. And we've had a lovely day out in Shakhtar. Shakhtar's not a place, is it? I don't think. It might be. I think Shakhtar's like the equivalent of the United. But I don't... Is it Shakhtar Donetsk? Is that this one? Yeah, Shakhtar Donetsk is the place, isn't it? I think. I'm really showing my knowledge of so many other countries, languages and cultures today. This is, I mean, I think it probably comes with the shirt. The sexy shirt week with a side helping of just general ignorance. Lovely. We've conceded a goal there. It doesn't really matter, although it does mean that Perez doesn't get his clean sheet bonus. So I imagine he's a little bit bothered by it because these boys like money. T'other Perez with the cross looking for Ian, who does deserve a second goal today because Ian has been excellent, but couldn't get onto the end of that. But his movement today has been just dangerous and annoying for the opposition at all times. Kleber needs to be getting a tackle in here. He's in there as the midfield muscle, and then he does get the tackle in. He took his time deciding to do it. It's like he was waiting for me to tell him it was okay. Juan Jose comes deep, and there's the ball over the top for Francisco, who is so quick. He's not messing that up. And this is what we talked about before. This is why we recalled Francisco from his loan. He is such a threat. He would be a 30-goal a season striker for us if Veloso wasn't even better. But Francisco can play this exact same role that Veloso plays. So if Veloso is injured or not in form, this guy just comes in and does the same stuff. 6-1 to home. Excellent result. Even better performance. We're winning the Champions League this year, boys and girls. I've decided. So for the Southampton game, I'm trying to get better at rotation. I'm not changing the entire team like some people suggest I should for these games after the Champions League, but we've changed quite a bit. Some of it is enforced. Vinicius Antonio is going to be out for a couple of weeks with his stub toe. Abagay is suspended because he got sent off in the previous Premier League game, so he's going to be suspended for the next couple of matches. But I'm resting Primus, Kleber, where is he? Figuera are all coming out of the side, and this is the team that we're going with. Perez in goal, a back four of Pedro Guerrero, which I think is his first start in a long, long time. Only his fourth start ever. Didn't start at all for us last year. I know there's going to be some people suggesting we go back to the inverted wing back because he's a right footer. We haven't been using inverted wing back with right footers for a little while. Because we have Ian cutting in on that side, I want Guerrero just to stay wide, even though he's not going to be as much of a crossing threat as Primus is by staying out here and not cutting inside onto his right foot. I don't want them both getting into this area, and I don't want to mess Ian up by making him stay out wide. I mean, I guess you could argue you could leave Kleber out wide and have Guerrero cutting inside of him, but I think that then takes the excellence of Ian's movement out of the play, and I think that's really crucial. The combination you get between Ian and Juan Jose is part of the reason why this attack is such a threat. So Guerrero, a very different looking back four in general. Guerrero, Hannah, Erkan and Kelly as the back four. Diaz comes in midfield alongside McKenna, and then the front four is a little bit more familiar. Perez going up onto the right wing for a rare start this season for him after his free kick goal in the last game. Ian on the left, and then Juan Jose and Veloso up front. So what is that, 5 changes from the last game? That's better than any rotation you've seen me do before. Admittedly, I have basically just rotated the defence, which probably isn't the most sensible thing that I could do. But like I say, 2 of those changes were forced on me. Erkan, the only survivor from the previous game. I know Kelly played the second half of it in the last game, and I've been looking to get Guerrero game time anyway, so he was always going to come in for a game like this to give Primus a little bit of a rest. To me, it makes sense. I thought Juan Jose is going to grab his second goal of the season there. He's basically becoming a goal machine, but no, it goes a little bit wide. And after all of my talk of Veloso at the start of this episode, are we really going to go an entire episode of Veloso not scoring? So I didn't think we'd ever see the likes of that again. Perez with the cross, but can't find a home shirt, and Diaz is there to clean up the mess. McKenna playing it back to Diaz again, and now Perez back to Diaz, and there's Kelly in a huge amount of space on the right here. Rather than crossing, cuts it back to Perez, but he's going to get another opportunity for the cross, but this time just runs into a Southampton player. Perez has come out there to show him how to do a cross, but it still doesn't find a home player. But McKenna's got a bit of space for a shot here, and it goes just wide of the post. It would have been a wonder goal. He hit it very, very hard, but it wasn't to be. And now the goal kick for Southampton. McKenna's dropped back into the defence there for the header, and Veloso scores the easiest goal he'll score all season. I mean, it's easy because Veloso makes it look easy. Not everybody's got the pace to be in that position and the composure to go past the goalkeeper the way he does. We see Veloso do this so often. But McKenna doing really well just to drop in there. Yeah, I'm having this header. And then Ian with a beauty of a pass, and Veloso just, it's his trademark goal. The amount of if you did a Sandro Veloso highlight package, the amount of those goals, he'd just be tapping into an empty net because he's already gone past the keeper. And it's just beautiful. And there we are, 1-0 up. We don't have to see an episode with no Veloso goal. I mean, it fills me with nightmares, the idea of there being an episode with no Veloso goal. But Southampton have responded by camping out on the edge of our area here and forcing the save out of Perez, who pushes it over the crossbar for a Southampton corner. And we do need to be alert here to the fact that they're going to be looking for an immediate reply. Hannah is there for a good headed clearance. We've had a couple of examples already today of some solid aerial work from Hannah at the back. And now Perez charging down the right. I thought he'd gone past his man there, but it's a last-ditch saving tackle from the Southampton defender, and they get away with that one a little bit. But it has been all home for the first 20 minutes of this game. Look at those match stats for the first third almost of the game gone. We've absolutely dominated things. And it's for nothing because Southampton have scored from a set piece. We were talking about this a second ago about how we needed to be wary about them coming up the other end and doing that to us. And it's exactly what they've done. We are playing a defence, a back four that have never played together before, if we want to get our excuses in. I was just talking about Hannah's good aerial work, but it is Hannah who misses out on the header there for the Southampton guy to get in and grab the goal. It's none of it is an acceptable excuse, though. We shouldn't be getting done for set pieces. Guerrero's been turned inside out there by the runner from Southampton. That goal, I think, has given them a little bit of a second wind. They were looking like they were already firmly beaten, but we weren't capitalising and grabbing the goals, and they've come up the other end and scored one for themselves. While this is going on, I think I've just seen that the one that got away, Lamptey, has now gone to Manchester City. I don't know when that happened, but you'll remember me talking about him many times. It looks like he's now followed the money, gone to Manchester City, and he's grabbed himself a couple of goals. So we'll check in on him in a moment. Simon Hannah heads it really nicely when he's not being challenged. That's what we've learned today. He doesn't like an aerial duel, but if you just get the ball in the air and let him head it, he heads it so cleanly and nicely. Veloso, a rare offside here, I think. He's usually so quick that he doesn't need to be offside, but I think he has been caught out here. Are we going to get to look at the replay to check? I'm just checking the referee's work here. Only just. But he was offside, so we'll allow it. I just want to see Lamptey, the one that got away. So he's 27 now. Only 14 goals in 56 caps for England. But he has gone to Manchester City in a £61 million move. He's only just gone as well, because he's already played a couple of times for Arsenal this season. He's not quite scored as many goals as I thought he was going to score over the course of his career after we first noticed him at Southampton. He's no Sean Keegan, but all the same, it's frustrating to see the one that got away scoring all those goals. But let's face it, he wouldn't be in this team ahead of Veloso. So I don't think we need to worry too much about him anymore. Ian to Kelly. A goal before half-time would be lovely, and Ian knows it, and Ian has scored it. He has been fantastic in this episode. Ian is just getting better and better and better. He still hasn't had his call-up to the Brazil national team, and I'm actually wondering, at what point has he been here 5 years? Because if I'm England manager, which I've been offered multiple times, and I might become England manager just so I can do stuff like this. Because if I'm England manager and I'm looking at someone like Ian, who is now 21 years old, so it's another 2 years. 2 years' time, he could become an England international, although the media are already saying he deserves his Brazil call-up, so I suspect we're going to miss the boat on him. But there probably are players knocking around this team who are maybe a little bit older, who we could be trying to steal for England. Juan Jose has never played for Spain. He's got less than a year to go before we can steal him as English. Has to be part of a squad despite lack of international. So again, calls for him to be in the Spain squad. Perez is already international. Most of these are already internationals now. Maybe it's not as easy to steal players for other countries as I thought it was. Francisco, I bet he's English. Is he English? There you go. He's got English as his second nationality. So if we wanted Francisco, we could call him up for England. I suspect he probably needs to play a few more games for home and score a few more goals for us before he gets called up to the England squad. But he's there as an option. Just probably not a very sensible option right now. But I would definitely be keeping tabs on Ian if I was England manager, and having a little quiet word in his ear saying, "How Brazilian are you, Ian?" It's a very English sounding name. do you want to play for England in 2 years? Save all that flying back and forth to Brazil. That sounds like a pain in the trousers, all that flying back and forth to Brazil. You've got Kleber in your way for Brazil. I know you play ahead of him for home. Brazil seem to favour him though. Almost as if Kev's got that one wrong. Maybe you should become English. Although, to be fair, Kleber doesn't play for the full Brazil side either. But I know at the Olympics and for the under-21s or the under-20s or whatever it is at Brazil, Kleber always plays ahead of Ian. Ian rarely actually features because Kleber has that spot on the left-hand side for Brazil, under-23s, under-21s, under whatever else it might be. Southampton's goal is getting disallowed here as well, I think. It is lovely old stuff. We don't need to see that one. We always trust this referee. He's very wise. He knows what he's doing. And this would be 6 wins from 6 if we pull this off, which would be probably our best ever start to a league season. Juan Jose is not really doing much today. Ian is shattered though. So I think Kleber on, and that means we can now make Pedro Guerrero an inverted wing-back just to see if that sparks a little bit more life out. Although, to be fair, he's having a good game on a 7.1. We don't need to mess with him too much. We will take off Juan Jose, though, and get Camacho on to play up alongside Veloso as our deep-lying forward option. And I want to get Jamie Much on as well. So who am I going to take off in midfield? I think we'll take McKenna off because McKenna has... in fact, Diaz is probably better staying as the playmaker, even though Much is the best playmaker probably that we've got to go in that role. Can Diaz be a box-to-box? Not very well. Yeah, Much can pretty much do everything, I think. Oh, no, maybe he can't. In that case, Much can play in his favoured role because he's the one we're having a look at. Because my long term, I still think might be McKenna and Much in midfield. We just can't ever seem to play the three Scottish players at the same time. Much coming on for McKenna. We had the opportunity to have all three of them on the pitch at the same time, and Scottish football is salivating at what we're producing for them here at home as a future core of the Scottish national team, or probably current core. I think McKenna and Much are already regular starters for Scotland. Perez with the counter-attack here. He's got Veloso in the middle. He's been absolutely clattered, went through on goal. Clear as you like that that's a red card, and it's actually set Perez up for another free kick, similar to the one he scored in the last game. We didn't actually get to see it, though, which is a little bit odd. But with 4 minutes to go, Southampton now down to 10 men. And fingers crossed we don't mess up from here. Look how narrow Guerrero comes now. He's playing as an inverted wing back. It's a lovely pass from him, though, and he's basically playing as an extra central midfielder now, which means Kelly pushing on as far as he is could be a problem. But there is Guerrero. I mean, well, it's only his 4th ever start. We've stuck him in there as the inverted wing-back for the final 20 minutes of the game, and he has popped up with an absolute screamer of a goal. We absolutely don't need Kovacic. We've got 2 very good left-backs here. Kovacic, the grumpy goose that he was, we'll just forget that he exists now because Guerrero and Primus are both very good at playing left back for us. And that's all we really need. We don't need someone who can cover centre back. We've got lots of centre backs. Simon Hanna's shown today that we've got more centre backs coming through. Right, next episode. Sexy Shirt Week will continue, so don't worry about that. We'll show you another Champions League game, probably Bayer Leverkusen with one of the Manchester teams, depending on which one's closest to us at the time. They're both pretty close, so we'll see who's closest at the time, and we'll show you one of them plus Bayer Leverkusen in the Champions League, and that will be coming up on Wednesday. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos, and thank you very much for watching.